It is Friday the 17th, the day of November 2023. Many thanks for joining us right here at Lookuptv from wherever you're watching from. I trust your weekend is coming up well. We have a lot for you tonight, including the status of floods in the country and of course the Raila's G2G oil deal. That and much more, of course, coming up after the highlights. On the other side of the studio, I'm joined by our very own Robert Chacha to give us an update on the world of sports.
Of course, Johnny Matava is focusing on two main stories today. Rising Starlets have been knocked out of the FIFA 2024 World Cup qualification in Colombia after being beaten on a 6-2 goal aggregate at the Nyayo National Stadium. Plus, Everton have been deducted 10 points in the English Premier League for breaching their financial fair play. Some of the students will be focusing on including the Eldoret volleyball tournament happening late in this weekend, of course, and so much more right in the bulletin. But right now, I pass on the ball to Johnny Matava for news making headlines tonight.
Thank you so much, Chacha. And of course, we'll be looking at that into much more. Meanwhile, these are our top stories tonight. Tonight.
Hichi kwa muda pengine masaa 12 huenda chote kikazingirwa na maji.
A flooded city, roads rendered impassable and houses submerged as floods pound Mombasa.
And I challenge the government to contradict what I'd said. These other ones basically just talk and say hot air.
It was a scam. Azimio leader Raila Odinga maintains that the G2G oil deal was a scam, breeding corruption. And
the memorandums that were submitted by Kenya Medical Association, by the civil societies, by KMPDU, by FKE, by all these bodies, they were not looked into.
KMPDU files a petition against Social Health Insurance Fund Act, saying there was no public participation. Welcome to the program. Many thanks for joining us. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Philista Adundo. Let's get started. The heavy rains that continue to pound at different parts of the country have paralyzed tourism activities in the coastal region. The overwhelming water levels have forced several hotels to transfer their guests, with the last-minute cancellations of hotel bookings becoming the new normal in Mombasa.
The rains have taken the livelihoods of people, and sadly, 3 miners have lost their lives. 2 of the casualties met their untimely death after their house came down on them under the force of flash floods.
Na shida kubwa ni mabarabara kujazwa maji, and then kuna nyumba ambazo ziko either drainage imekuwa blocked. Kuna nyumba nyingi ambazo pia maji imeingia ndani. So ile kitu ambayo tumekuwa tukishirikiana na wananchi wenyewe na serikali ya county na timu yetu ya Red Cross, mwanzo ilikuwa ni kutoa watu, na bado tunaendelea kutoa watu wale ambao wamekuwa trapped ama wamekwama kwa manyumba. So na secondly ni sehemu kama hizi ambazo unapata barabara imezidiwa na maji, na kitu kubwa ambayo tunawaambia wakazi wa Mombasa, na najua katika sehemu zingine za Kenya, ni vizuri watu ikiwa nyumba yako iko sawa, afadhali ubaki nyumbani kwa sababu afya yako ndio muhimu zaidi.
The third child was electrocuted as he met into contact with loose wire. Transport has also been adversely affected, several roads swept away in unforgiving floods. The Met Department's 5-day forecasts show most places are likely to receive rain, but intensities may reduce slightly. Only the northwestern counties of Turkana and Samburu counties are expected to experience dry weather from Friday.
Tunaiomba serikali aswa kuanzia kwa Rais William Samoei RUTO na naibu wake. Kuna poor drainage hapa Mombasa, na nyinyi mlituahidi vitu vingi, kwa hivyo mtoe pesa, vijana wapate kazi, kuchimbwe mashimo, mitaro, maji yao yanapita. Kwa sababu saizi angalia hata sisi vile tunakaa. Alafu baada tena hii miaka mtakuja kutuomba kura tena. Kwa hivyo mtufanyie mambo ambayo yanafaa.
Winlight Chapruha, Lookuptv.
Away from that, the Azimio leader Raila Odinga has dismissed the government's response to the G2G oil deal with Gulf countries, terming it insincere. Odinga, while addressing an ODM special parliamentary group meeting, maintained his stand that the government must suspend the government-to-government oil deal, accusing players in the energy sector of colliding with oil firms to manipulate fuel prices in the country. As the government-to-government oil conversation continues to gain momentum, eliciting different reactions following the dossier by Azimio leader Raila Odinga on Thursday.
There was no G2G. Kenya government did not sign any contract with Saudi Arabia. Only the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum signed a deal with the state-owned petroleum companies.
The Azimio chief on Friday fired back at Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah for terming the dossier as hot air,
culminating to the statements made by Mr. Odinga himself and another group of Azimio leaders yesterday somewhere in Westlands. And the so-called dossier, which we are saying is nothing but political hogwash, is a well-choreographed campaign.
While responding to questions during an ODM parliamentary group meeting on Friday, Raila said Ichung'wah was in no capacity to respond to him, as claims he made were directed to the government.
I don't know whether those people who responded had an opportunity to read what I'd said, because it was a very comprehensive statement which gave clear facts. And I challenged the government to contradict what I'd said. These other ones basically just talk and say hot air. I don't know which hot air, where that guy is coming from. And this is supposed to be majority leader of government. I think, the matter was directed at the executive, not at the legislature.
In his dossier, Raila pointed out that the G2G deal is nothing but corruption, masked as legitimate agreement between the two governments, arguing that if indeed it was government-to-government deal, there would be no need to have private entities sign the MOU.
That the characterization of this deal as a G2G was meant to shield the three Kenyan companies from paying the 30% corporate tax.
Back in March, the government, through the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, entered into a G2G agreement with Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates companies for the supply of petroleum to save the country from the shutdown due to the nationwide petroleum shortage. The process underwent scrutiny and approval by the National Assembly and the Office of the Attorney General. John Matava, Lookuptv. The government-to-government oil deal was conducted openly and transparently. President William RUTO said the deal was necessary to ease the pressure on the dollar. He argued that pressure on the greenback had resulted in oil shortage in the country. The president explained that the government is not a broker in the deal, but a mere guarantor for international oil firms to supply the crucial commodity for 6 months on credit.
There will be questions by the people of Kenya, and they are perfectly entitled to interrogate our actions. We must work in such a manner that we can answer every question. For example, I am very happy that when the opposition is asking us about the G2G petroleum engagement, we can confidently tell them all the documentation is public. All the agreements are public. And I can say without fear of any contradiction that this whole exercise, before even I took the oath of office, the leadership of all oil marketers came to see me, and they were stranded, looking for dollars from corner to corner. In fact, there was stock out in many parts of Kenya. Many petrol stations were closed. And I can confirm to the country that the G2G petroleum products engagement with our international oil companies is above board, is transparent, is innovative, and it has made the biggest difference in our country.
Katiba Institute and the informal sector have joined Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacist and Dentist Union in a filing petition challenging the Social Health Insurance Act in an effort to improve access to affordable healthcare in the country. The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacist and Dentist Union KMPDU Secretary General Davji Atela has raised concerns about the recently enacted Social Health Insurance Bill 2023, expressing skepticism and outlining potential repercussions. Gail Aluda now reports.
Led by the KMPDU Secretary General Davji Atela, unions from other sectors have once again blamed government over implementation of the newly introduced Social Health Insurance Act without public participation.
Come to realize that in this country, public participations have been reduced to public manipulation.
Unions say if the bill is implemented, it will disenfranchise the services public servants have been getting from the previous NHIF medical scheme. Additionally, they say the government is leaning towards benefiting private hospitals, a move that will paralyze services in public facilities.
Now, why do we say that? We say that because for a long time, in the assessment of medical schemes, as well declared in Section 5 of these the adoption of this particular act, Section 5 indicates that it will no longer be providing medical schemes and medical benefits. And we know, as has been outrightly explained, that in 2012, many of the medical administrative schemes or managers were seeking mechanisms to ensure that the public servants were being managed within their schemes because they own insurance company. But this was very difficult because the Civil Servants Union stayed firm and refused that particular plan. We have seen that they succeeded in having the teachers and in having the police within that particular scheme. Now they were making it possible to have that scheme, to have the public servants go to that scheme by interfering with this particular act. And that's why it is very clear in this act that the Social Health Insurance Act will not provide that scheme to remove that competition.
Unions lament that the bill is punitive in nature, requiring informal sector to contribute annually, unlike the formal sector which contribute monthly, and those failing to meet its demand being unfairly penalized.
We are also seeing in this bill in the management of claims, the claim management has put the powers to the minister without considerations of the board. And it has outrightly put who among the insurance company will take part into this, because it's an insurance company. And in that part, we know that when they are managing this particular insurance or this Social Health Insurance Act, they also own private facilities.
The new Social Health Insurance Fund was passed by Parliament on 27th of September and later signed into law by President William RUTO on 19th of October. Aludagel for Lookuptv in Nairobi.
Thank you so much, Aluda, for that story. Away from that, President William Ruto has appealed to the defense forces in the country to stay alert in the emerging security threats in the world, which remains constant threats not only in the country, but in the East African region, while presiding over the graduation ceremony for the first cohort of military graduates from the National Defense University of Kenya in Lanet, Nakuru County. The head of state has called on the national security forces to adopt innovation, technology and research in combating modern day terrorism and other security threats. And Retende with more.
The inaugural graduation ceremony at the National Defense University of Kenya in Lanet, Nakuru County. Several men and women from the disciplined forces graduating today after successfully completing enhanced training in the field. A function that was attended by the Commander-in-Chief President William Ruto, Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, and Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu.
Allied countries with studies.
The National Defense Forces have received accolades nationally and internationally for their capacity and professionalism in maintaining peace in the region. This, though President William Ruto says, should not make them get complacent. The head of state has cautioned the forces to stay alert to new traits of security threats in the world advising them to incorporate innovation and research in devising methods to respond and combat emerging complex security threats, especially from terrorists.
Now, even greater responsibility rests on your shoulders to consider your nation's security as a fundamental imperative for our collective transformative progress. I therefore challenge you to embrace your role as leaders and commanders with a strong sense of purpose, vision, curiosity, inspiration, and most importantly, patriotism. Allow knowledge to lead the way and let innovation and research inform your steps. You will go very far, I promise you.
President Ruto says every day the world over is confronted with acts of terrorism and need for the security officers to widen the scope of addressing such threats.
Whether you are in the field, at a command center, in the rooms where policy is made, or in lecture theaters, always feed curiosity through debate, reinforce innovation with challenging questions, and disrupt productively in order to stay at the cutting edge in a rapidly sharpening world.
To ensure the country is adequately prepared to secure the nation, the Commander-in-Chief wants defense forces to embrace technology, especially in gathering of critical information.
Most importantly, be courageous enough to embrace emerging approaches and new technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, quantum computing, and innovation in cybersecurity strategies in order to protect national interests and critical infrastructures. Deploy data and analytics to anticipate threats and develop effective and efficient solutions for the challenges of our time.
The president has called upon the men and women in the military to further their education in order to advance in the scope of securing the nation.
Remain alert to opportunities to collaborate across disciplines and enrich your decisions with input from experts in diverse fields. This is how you build and sustain capacity to prevail in the face of complex challenges. Always know that a good idea must give way to a better idea. Don't hold on to a good idea when there is a better idea.
Henry Tendanyula, Lookuptv.
Deputy President Rigathi. And that story takes us on a short break right here on Lookuptv. Stay with us. We'll be back with more news for you.
Karibu mtazamaji kwenye kipindi cha jamii na itikadi.
Kaini kitako tuna mengi.
Mapenzi yanapoanza watu huitana bebi na majina mengine matamu matamu, lakini baadaye penzi linapogeuka na kuwa shubiri,
mtu anafikia kwenda kumtafuta mke mwingine.
Itakuwaje?
Yule wa kwake nyumbani labda hajamridhisha.
Ni sawa ama vipi Maliki?
Dadangu, wanaume ni kama maembe.
Huyu ni mwanamume atakuja abadiliki.
Mwanaume mwenye wanawake wengi hata katika uchumba, kwenye ndoa ataendelea. Mtu na tabia yake hawachi. Ile umbo la kike likishaanza, kila kitu kishaanza kuwa mahali pake.
Ningependa kukuona.
Sijaenda mahali ambapo mimi nilisikia mtu ati huyu alikuwa shujaa, alikufa katika mstari wa mbele wa ndoa. Sijawahi sikia mimi.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
Welcome back to the program. Thank you so much for watching Lookuptv. It's on a Friday. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has led a session with the Kenya Kwanza Executive Council, which entered its second day on Friday to evaluate the steps taken in the successes and challenges in the implementation of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Stanley Lugaria with more.
Two-day retreat organized by the government and presided by the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to discuss in detail the process and challenges in the implementation of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda better and to strategize on the task ahead entered its final day in South Nairobi. Gachagua emphasized on the statement by President William RUTO that Kenyans must be patient on the cost of living because the better system needs time to succeed, asserting his commitment to the implementation of the government's agenda. During the meeting that brought the Kenya Kwanza cabinet together, Gachagua emphasized that they took the opportunity to assess themselves following an in-depth internal deliberation, as well as identifying the shortcomings that need to be corrected by giving them priorities in the efforts to implement the promises during their campaign. Also, today's session witnessed the participants taking the opportunity to assess, consult and review the successes and challenges in the implementation of the bottom-up economic agenda and then discuss different strategies and how to achieve the system. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv.
Thank you so much, Stanley, for that detailed report. Away from that, a family in Nandi County is mourning the death of a former KPSEA student who drowned in the river Kimondi while attempting to swim. The depressed family's efforts to retrieve the Matthew Kiprop's body have been futile since Sunday's tragic incident. Rosaline Kosgei, the boy's mother, is asking for the government's intervention to help them find the deceased.
Naomba serikali kuu na serikali ya kaunti atusaidie tupate angalau hata mwili, kwa sababu hakuna kazi tunafanya.
Serikali wangetusaidia na equipments ambao our divers wangetumia. Wangekuwa na equipments, wangekuwa na dive vizuri na kazi ingekuwa rahisi.
The Orange Democratic Movement ODM party leader Raila Odinga has urged the party's elected members to refrain from early campaigns, jeopardizing service delivery to Kenyans. Speaking at an ODM parliamentary group meeting in the outskirts of Nairobi on Friday, Odinga told the members not to cripple those elected by the early campaigns, calling out leaders who are campaigning for higher positions just a year into the office.
People campaigning, they want to be MCAs. Those who are elected as MCAs, campaigning, they want to be MPs. They've hardly served the people to qualify. It is what you're doing to the people as an MCA which will endear you to the larger constituency. Then you've got people elected as members of parliament were campaigning to be governors. You have hardly served the people as a member of parliament. You already are declaring and you have in a committee campaigning to be a governor. Some people elected as senators campaigning to be governors, or women reps campaigning to be governors, or members of parliament. I want to say that time is going to come. Time will come. But allow those who have been elected in those respective positions to serve now, giving them the support that they need, so that they either succeed or they fail. In a normal democracy, campaigning starts 1 year before the elections. You can see now in the US, people are declaring candidatures for senators, for governorships, and for the presidency. Because the election is next year. Then you have 1 year to do with the campaign. So what I want to say is that it is not right for us. We see a lot of enmity being generated among our members, because everybody is now already in a full swing campaign 4 years later. And you find some people have hired our youth. The youth are running around this time, fighting, put a lot of tension. This should end.
Officials of the Protective Security Industry Association, led by the chairman Cosmas Mutava, on Friday responded to the order of the Chief Executive Officer of the Private Security Regulatory Authority that officers to be paid a salary of 30,000 Kenyan shillings monthly. The leaders want the government to establish a committee to evaluate the issue, while asking the government to give them a list of approved schools authorized by the authorized to offer training to more than 1.2 million private guards in the country.
In response to that media report released by the CEO, Protective Security Regulatory Authority, we wish to state that we appreciate paying guards 30,000 and even above, as according to guidelines given by the Ministry of Labor. However, it is not the mandate of the Private Security Regulatory Authority to set guidelines on minimum wage. This one is a mandate of Labor Ministry, and we feel this authority is usurping the role of Ministry of Labor. It is expected the statement appearing in the media was a decision of PISRA board, properly constituted, and not one from a CEO or an individual from that authority. We wish to request the government to operationalize the Security Wages Council in order to come up with a proper way of paying the guards. We request Private Security Regulatory Authority to supply us with a list of accredited schools and institutions where our 1.2 million guards and personnel can be trained.
Away from that, every community in Kenya have their own culture and traditional ways of life. In Watachoni, apart from being known for its circumcision traditions, there is also a traditional way in which they accord respect to the last famous people in their community. Catherine Saina looks in this tradition, and she has filed the following report.
That has brought together residents and leaders from Sirakwe village to oversee a traditional ceremony on the second day after the burial of the late James Iniglo, whereby our Watachoni traditional preacher is invited to oversee the ceremony. A cow is also slaughtered to appease the late's grave, in line with the Watachoni cultural norms and traditionals, also known as a sinawela.
Siku kama hii mtu mzee kama Profesa Ndingira ambaye ametuacha huwa amezikwa, tukawa na siku ile inafuata ile Yes Nawera, alafu hii siku inaitwa Yomse.
The tradition is only performed to the men, especially the big non-farmers or pastoralists in the community, and have gone through all the community traditions, one being planting a tree known as Omtoto.
Jambo la muhimu ni kwamba ni watu waelimishwe kuhusu mila zetu. Hiyo ni kitu ya maana sana. Na mhubiri kama Dr. Kakai sasa ndiye anachukua nafasi hiyo kuelimisha sisi na wale wengine, kwa sababu hatutaki mila yetu ipotee.
The ceremony is accompanied with a lot of dance and singing going around the grave where the tree is already planted.
Ile mti mnaona imewekwa hapo kwa kaburi, sisi tunaitanga olusindu. Na hizo manguo ambayo umewekwa hapo, kuna ngozi ya kutusi, fimbo yake, mkuki, biatu na kofia. Hiyo ya kuonyesha mwenye hiyo vitu ameaka. Na hiyo vitu vitakaa hapo kwa muda unafaa hivi. Kutokea leo itachukua siku 40. Samani ilikuanga siku 40. Lakini saa hii wakati mujwa umekuwa mingi itachukua siku karibu 18.
Moreover, after the ceremony is conducted and the traditional tree is planted, women are not allowed to milk cows anywhere around the grave.
Kutembea ambayo nimetembea hivi, hii inaonyesha wakati watoto wa Israeli walitoka Misri kuja Kanani, walifuka mto unaitwa Kanani. Kwa hivyo watu vile walikuwa wamekaa hivyo, wamekaa upande wa chini na upande wa juu. Katikati mimi natembea hapo, hiyo ndiyo njia ya watoto wa Israeli watipitia kutoka Misri kuja Kanani. Kwa hivyo mzee huyo tumempitisha pale kama njia ambayo tulifuka naye kwa mto Jordan. Amefuka na ameelekea mbinguni mahali papa yake na mama yake ako.
Catherine Saina, Lookuptv.
Thank you so much, Catherine Saina, for that detailed report. Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs as well, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, represented President William Ruto at the 50th anniversary for the independence of Guinea-Bissau. Mudavadi delivered Ruto's message acknowledging the strides made by Guinea-Bissau in our indomitable pursuit of freedom, exemplifying the African spirit. These and more in the news wrap.
Speaking as he joined Guinea-Bissau during the 50 years of independence celebration, Cabinet Secretary Mudavadi called on to the African continent to endeavor to economically empower its people for a prosperous future that transcends generations. He further urged the people in attendance to celebrate the momentous occasion and cherish the cardinal values that serve as the bedrock of Guinea-Bissau. Elsewhere, the county government of Kakamega has expressed an interest to collaborate with private hospitals so as to improve its health services. Speaking during the official opening of Avenue Hospital in the county, Health Minister Wesonga Bernard emphasized the need for both public and private hospitals to work together to elevate medical standards.
Kakamega is a very big county with 2.5 million people, and we need to reach all the corners of the county in terms of quality health services. As you realize, where we are right now is just one of the sub-counties called Rambi.
And finally, farmers of Kirinyaga County are expected to benefit from the launch of 20 wards based on savings and credit cooperatives. During the launch of the cooperative associations in the county headquarters, Governor Anne Waiguru asked all farmers to join the cooperative associations in their counties to benefit from the various services they provide.
And I urge all farmers to join the SACCOs in their respective wards in order to benefit from a variety of services they offer. The SACCOs will provide members with affordable operational capital and savings and credit services, and eventually they will be able to offer e-voucher program for subsidized farm inputs, provide crop and livestock insurance, as well as aggregate market the farmers' produce.
Ebika Denyi, Lookuptv.
And that story takes us for the second break right here on Look Up Weekend. Stay with us. We'll be coming with the sports.
Welcome to Flamingo Towers. Flamingo Towers is an elegantly designed executive office complex. The building splits seamlessly into 2 wings, retaining 12 levels of grade A commercial space with flexible interior arrangements and 6 floors of parking accessed by car elevators. Located along Mara Road in Nairobi's Upper Hill area, Flamingo Towers boasts of panoramic scenic views from every office, 24-hour CCTV surveillance systems, fiber optic broadband connectivity, 2 high-speed elevators, MVA power supply with standby generator, and many more modern facilities. The building and its naming rights are up for sale. For more information, contact us on 0727 287 994 or visit our website on www.flamingotowers.com. Flamingo Towers, a product of Fusion Capital. Fusion Capital, rooted in the African growth story.
Karibu mtazamaji kwenye kipindi cha jamii na itikadi.
Kaini kitako tuna mengi.
Mapenzi yanapoanza watu huitana bebi na majina mengine matamu, lakini baadaye penzi linapogeuka na kuwa shubiri,
mtu anafikia kwenda kumtafuta mke mwingine.
Itakuwaje?
Yule wa kwake nyumbani labda hajamridhisha.
Ni sawa ama vipi Maliki?
Dadangu, wanaume ni kama maembe.
Huyu ni mwanamume atakuja abadiliki.
Mwanaume mwenye wanawake wengi hata katika uchumba, kwenye ndoa ataendelea. Mtu na tabia yake hawachi. Ile umbo la kike likishaanza, kila kitu kishaanza kuwa mahali pake.
Ningependa kukuona.
Sijaenda mahali ambapo mimi nilisikia mtu ati huyu alikuwa shujaa, alikufa katika mstari wa mbele wa ndoa. Sijawahi sikia mimi.
Look Up Weekend Sports begins right now. Good evening. My name is Robert Charger. Let's begin with Rising Starlets that have been knocked out of the 2024 World Cup qualification in Colombia. Rising Starlets have been scored 6-2 goals on aggregate. Now in today's match, Cameroon beat Belino Demba side 3-2 goals at the National Stadium. In today's goals, Joan scored a hat-trick in 24th minute, 58th and 62nd minute to seal for win for the Cameroon. The 2 only goals for the Rising Starlets were netted by Charity Midewa in the 46th and 77th minute.
Sufuri timu ya Cameroon goli moja ya kuzuri Charity Midewa. Naomi Eto jaza kamba ya pili hapa. Naomi Eto Leslie.
Let's move on still on sports and football action. The national team head coach on under 18 years, that is Salim Babu, has named a provisional squad for the under 18 Sekafa tournament. The team is blended of the local players, especially from the schools that participate in the national FKF leagues. All right, we head to Eldoret Volleyball Tournament. More than 100 teams have registered for this year's volleyball tournament. That has actually, the Washingishu County is funding them, and the winner will receive a maximum of, I think, 1.4 million shilling. The tournament, of course, is recognized by the Kenya Volleyball Federation.
As Kenya Volleyball Federation, they are ready to receive those 100 teams. We have put them in different categories. We have first category of national league teams which have been registered, who have regular competition. Then we have self-supporting teams together with Series B.
Of course, that's Paul Bitok, the national Malkia Strikers coach. Remember that the aim of the tournament is to nurture talents in the tournament. Of course, we shift gears to Safari Sevens. Begins tomorrow with the KCB rugby team, of course, preparing for themselves. I can see on the screen ahead of tomorrow's the Safari Sevens tournament, which comes back after 2021. Now Shujaa, or Kenya, is represented by 3 teams. That's Shujaa, Morans, and KCB. KCB are alongside Germany, Moran, Samurai, and Western Province Select. The national 7 national team, Shujaa, are the defending champions of that particular tournament.
The conversion is successful off the boot.
All right, remember in tomorrow's show, that's Olingo Sport, will be coming to you live from the Airfield grounds, whereby Shujaa, in that particular period, they'll be playing against the Samurai. Now let's end our bulletin with some international news that Everton on your screen have been deducted 10 points by the FA, that's the board governing the English Premier League in the London. The question being is, Everton actually went against the financial fair play. That's why bridging that particular rule, and hence they have been deducted 10 points, which means they sit 19th on the log with 4 points.
Right, we come to the end of the bulletin. Many thanks for watching, and of course, just a brief from Chacha.
One of the interesting points that is Everton has been deducted 10 points from the English Premier League. They sit 19th with 4 points. And the question being discussed is the breach of the financial fair play, where it's required a club not to buy more than the number of required players. That's why even Chelsea is facing that particular program. But tomorrow's show, we'll be coming to you live from the RFA grounds. We have the Safari Sevens. I don't know if you know rugby.
All right, maybe I might be knowing just a little bit. Maybe just give us an update.
Which team do you support?
Chelsea, I'm a fan.
Oh, today's a Chelsea bulletin. So it's 2 dudes who support Chelsea that are doing this.
Okay.
It's quite interesting, man.
Very interesting.
We are counting the 10th in the log.
All right.
Hopefully we perform, because we are facing Newcastle and then Manchester United and then Manchester. I think late in the day we'll be playing Brighton, one of the Premier League. What do you think of Chelsea this season? We have new players, total new squad. What do you think of our team? Do you think we perform very well?
Yeah, maybe I'm hoping we shall do the best, of course. You know, it's been a match that has been, fans are waiting maybe for it to perform. Maybe we hope they want to be doing something which is unremarkable this time. What do you think?
I really hope Nelima won't kill us, because 2 Chelsea fans on the set doing the bulletin. Good night, madam. It's Robert Church. You have yourself a good weekend. Of course, tomorrow we focus on Olingo Sport to be coming to you live at the RFA grounds at the Safari Sevens, of course, tournament kicking off. Where we hope Shujaa will retain their tournament. Have qualified for the 2024 Olympics, as well as we have KCB and the Samurais and the Morans will be there, man. It will be a tantalizing game. So make sure you join us live from 1:30 to 2 on Olingo Sport. Of course, have yourself a good night. My name is Robert Chacha. Blessings.
Well, and that is it from the desk right here on Lookup Weekend. Many thanks for watching. And those that made this bulletin a success, we are saying thank you, my director, and everyone that we can't mention right now. Meanwhile, everyone watching from home, have a good weekend.